I have a conclusion for the Nazca lines. Now, you're probably thinking, well, who am I? Well, I am actually the person that's told you where Atlantis was, who was on Atlantis and why it sank. No one's debunked me. And I'm also the person that's connected Stonehenge with the Book of Enoch. Again, no one's done that. And I'm also the person that's explained what these symbols are in Abydos that relate to the Anunnaki. Again, no one's debunked me on any of that. So when I talk about the Nazca lines, it might be worth listening. So here, what the normal narrative says is the Nazca people probably made these as a ritual, but they don't tell you that they cut the tops of a mountain off, a mountain range that go on for 28 kilometers. You think they did that for a giggle, for a ritual? No. I'll explain what I think has happened to this in the next video, so feel free to watch. This is my thoughts on what happened to the Nazca mountain range. 28 kilometers of a mountain range sliced completely off the top of the mountains with track marks in there. Now this is nearby with the Nazca lines, which you may recognize. And other mountains all around have got their peaks except for this one. So this is what I think happened. In the Lost Book of Enki, it talks about after the tsunami, the flood, the Great Flood, which was actually a tsunami. Watch my videos, you'll understand. It says here that they found that a mountain had been tore open, and inside that mountain had gold in nuggets, which is what they were actually here for, the Anunnaki were here for anyway. So now they found that. Now, there is actual seashells on the Nazca mountains up high. So how would they get there? Follow for part 2. I'll continue on. In my previous video, I explained that Nazca has a mountain range that's cut the top off, and I've said that there are fish bones and seashells, etc. on the top of this mountain. You would only get that if the mountain was underwater at some point, and I've explained that after the flood, the mountain was cracked by the deluge, which was not really a flood, it was a tsunami. Watch my previous videos. Now, we've got the seashells, and we've got a line. So did the Anunnaki then start cutting the top of this off and making tracks because they found gold there? Now that would make sense because they talk about a mountain range. Let's have a look where Peru is. Now Peru is right next door to the ocean. So when the tsunami hit, yes, that would make sense that that would have got flooded. Now let's have a look at where the Nazca lines is. That's where the Nazca lines are in Peru. Now, is there any gold in Nazca? In my previous 2 videos, I've explained that the Nazca lines, or the Nazca mountain range, was underwater because of the flood. I've explained that the Anunnaki would have been slicing the tops of the mountain off, all 28 kilometers of it, to make a flat surface so that they could take their machinery. Now, the question is, was there any gold there? We've got the proof that it was flooded because of the seashells, etc. But is there any gold anywhere near there? Well, in fact, this is the area called the Gold Belt in Peru. And as you can see, the Nazca lines would have been around here. So yes, Peru and exactly that area does have gold. So when the Anunnaki said that they was mining for gold and needed the gold, that would make sense. Now, is there any evidence that they would have used any kind of machinery there? Well, there's these things called the Nazca holes, let alone the pictographs that they've done. Now, this could be some sort of track system that they used. So that's my conclusion. I hope you enjoyed it. I do laugh at people when they put the laughing faces as if to say I'm wrong when they actually have no idea whatsoever. So Planet X, which would be Nibiru, is bigger than Earth. That's mentioned by the Hopi Indians, etc., as a destroyer, and the blue star and so on. Now, mass, basically, I don't want to bore you, but basically mass does cause time differences. It's also to do with speed as well. Go look up Einstein if you have no idea. Now, we also know, due to the atomic clock, that time does differ from where you are. So, in other words, on the space station, there is a time difference between here on Earth. So, also, fruit flies live only for 40 to 50 days. They would see us as eternal. Now, this is all to do with me saying that the Anunnaki lived for 1 million of their years. Now, they slept for 7 days and 7 nights on their home planet. So they only lived for 100 years of their years. Just following on from my previous video about the person that said that another planet, they would have to have the same lifespan as us. Now, we have a 24-hour cycle. which means the sun comes back round, and during that period 90% of the animals here on this planet sleep at one point, whether it's nocturnal or not. Now on another planet, if that planet is bigger in mass and actually rotates slower, then their day would be a lot longer, in which case would they actually still sleep the same time as us? No, they wouldn't. They'd sleep whenever their time worked out. So it's the same as a planet. Let's imagine a planet span round one day for one of our years. So if we went to that planet, do you think they would sleep for 12 hours? No, of course. They would sleep for probably 20 seconds because of the speed of their planet. So hopefully that helps the person that